welcome to this week's Motherhood Guide. Real stories, expert tips, and support. Hey mom, welcome to Elle's Corner. The other day, I found myself eating my toddler's leftovers instead of making my own meal. And I had to pause. Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we put ourselves last, even for the smallest things? It is so easy for me to take care of my baby, my toddler, my husband, but so much incredibly harder to take care of myself. And that really sucks. That's why this week I want to talk about self-care as a mom. And no, not in the way the internet usually does. No, like spa days or morning routines that take an hour. Because let's be real, I don't have time for that. I don't think you do either. Let's dive into how to make self-care actually doable, even in the chaos of motherhood. Why does self-care feel so hard for moms? There's actually a reason why moms struggle with self-care. We've been conditioned that rest is something you have to earn. Our time is only valuable if we're productive, doing things, cleaning things, taking care of things. And the most hard one of all is taking care of ourselves means that we're neglecting our kids. Does this sound familiar? But here's the truth. Self-care is survival, not a luxury, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Here are 3 ways to make self-care a reality, even when you're a busy mom. Self-care isn't about grand gestures or full days off, as nice as that sounds, but it's about small, sustainable shifts that fit into the life you already have. Here are 3 simple ways to start prioritizing yourself today, without adding extra stress. The first one is habit stacking. The easiest way to build self-care into your day is to attach it to things you already do. For example, if you're washing dishes or folding laundry, just put on a podcast, like the one you're listening now. Or if you drink your coffee every morning, use those 5 minutes to journal or to take deep breaths. The next one is a 5-minute reset. Stop waiting for the perfect time for the perfect self-care moment. Tiny moments count too. When you feel overwhelmed, try one small reset. Just step outside for some fresh air. Drink a glass of water just for you. Stretch for 30 seconds. Or simply take a deep breath. These micro moments help regulate stress and keep you from running empty. They might seem very small, but they have a sort of avalanche effect. You gotta throw the first stone and keep throwing them. And eventually, you'll find yourself in an avalanche of self-care. The third and last one is to set boundaries. One of the biggest self-care struggles moms face is feeling guilty for saying no. But setting limits is essential. Start very small. Say no to the things that drain you. Let go of obligations that don't serve you. And practice prioritizing yourself without guilt. Want to dive deeper into how to make self-care sustainable as a mom? I wrote a full blog on my Substack. You can check it in the comments for the link. So, moms, now I want to hear from you. What is your biggest self-care struggle? Motherhood is hard, and we all have different challenges. Please respond, comment, DM, email me, and tell me, what is the biggest self-care hurdle you're currently facing? I'd love to feature real mom stories in the next week's newsletter so we can learn from each other. And now, in spirit of that, let's take a real mom moment to reflect on what we talked about last week. Real mom moments. You're not alone. Last week, I asked you to share the moments of motherhood you didn't love, but learned something from. And whoa, many of you opened up. I had a full inbox. So if you ever feel like you're the only one struggling, I promise you're not. Here are 2 stories from moms in our community that really hit home with me. One day, my toddler refused a nap, threw his lunch on the floor, and spent the afternoon whining and clinging to me. By dinner time, I was mentally done. When my husband came home, I handed him the baby and just walked outside to breathe. That day taught me that it's okay to tap out when you need to. Motherhood is hard, and we don't have to do it all alone. I have felt like this before, have you? The second one I want to share is this. One night, I was so exhausted from weeks of night wakings that I completely lost my patience. My baby was crying, and instead of comforting him right away, I sat on the floor and cried too. I felt like the worst mom. But looking back, I learned that I need to ask for more help and take more breaks when I can. You can't pour from an empty cup. That is so true, Mom. Oh my God. I remember like nights when I sat next to my baby and just cried with her. As always, we'll end this week's podcast with three practical quick tips. The first one is about baby sleep. We've said it before, but keep bedtime routines simple. Babies and toddlers, and moms too. We thrive on consistency, not complexity. In the link below with this podcast, I've added a link that really goes into the science of baby sleep from neonatal nurse turned sleep expert Kara from Taking Care of Babies. My second tip is a toddler eating hack, which is to offer safe food on every plate, because toddlers, they eat much better when they feel in control. In the description of this podcast, I've included a link on the science on why this works according to the specialists at Feeding Littles. They're really great. And this is your third practical tip. It's a mom self-care reminder. You do not need to earn your rest. Taking care of yourself is productive because in the end, it makes you a better, more patient mom. You know what? You're doing better than you think. I see you. Keep going, Mama. Bye-bye, guys. See you next week.